Hello there guys, and welcome to this Prepar3D video. We are back again in the Majestic Dash 8 Q400. I believe many of you complained in the last video that the cockpit ambient sounds were too loud and they were not able to hear me very well. So I decided to do another video to give you a better insight and hopefully more useful information in this video on the Majestic Dash 8. Today we're going to be flying from exactly where we landed last time. We are currently situated at Denver International Airport. In the last video we flew from Eagle County Regional Airport to Denver, and today we're going to be flying from Denver to St. Paul International Airport in Minneapolis. Our approximate flight time today is 2 hours, and we're going to be cruising at 25,000 feet. So without further ado, let's get to it. Let us take a look at the payload and fuel for our flight today. And the one thing to note in the Dash 8 is that the aircraft is nose heavy. So what we want to do is we want to avoid putting baggage in the forward baggage compartment, and we want to place our passengers in this area here and preferably behind the wing. So what I've done, I've placed all cargo and baggage in the after baggage compartment, about 500 pounds worth of baggage. And then we've got 5 passengers in the OA section here, 8 in this section, 18 in the OC section here behind the wing, and about 8 in the OD section. So the takeoff fuel today is 7,997 pounds, and our trip fuel is 4,013. Now, a quick thing on these calculations. Apparently, 18,080.0 for the dry operating mass and dry operating index, respectively, appears to be the best numbers, in kilos by the way, appears to be the best numbers representing an empty Dash 8. So I've entered the numbers in kilos and then I've switched everything to pounds, simply because I'm more familiar with kilograms than pounds. But anyway, you can grab those numbers now because those numbers, I think, more closely represent an empty Dash 8. The only thing we need to do now is to send the data to the flight sim, and that is now done, and we are now ready for the 24-hour system checks checklist. We are now ready to perform the system test, so let's go ahead and turn on our batteries first. And we'll do the engine fire test. APU fire test. Baggage after and forward tests. And then we're gonna come down here.
Bank angle.
We're going to wait for the displays to come on. All right. So now we can do stall warning test 2 and 1, and ADC test 1 and 2. I think 2 and 1. And now we can test the auto feather system. Now to do this, you just need to press the auto feather button and just wait for the test to complete.
Glide slope. Pull up. Terrain. Pull up.
Okay, as you can see now, it says auto feather test passed. So now we can turn this off. Everything appears to be okay, and now we are ready to begin the APU. So power, start, and then we'll just wait for the generator light to illuminate, and then we'll be able to start the APU. All right, looks like we can start the APU now. And the generator is on, and now we can start the APU bleed. Recirc fan is now on. Okay, moving down here, we're going to turn on the fasten seatbelt signs, non-smoking signs. Emergency lights are armed. And we're going to test the anti-skid. There we go. Test it and it's fine. And now we can begin with the flight plan and the FMS programming. Okay, and while this is doing its thing, let's go ahead and set our frequency to 122.0.
Kilo Delta Echo November Airport Information Foxtrot 0453 Zulu weather wind 153 at 7 visibility 6 sky condition temperature -3 dew point -5 altimeter 3007 advise on initial contact you have information Foxtrot Kilo Delta Echo November Airport Information Foxtrot 0453 Zulu weather wind 153 at 7 visibility 6 sky condition temperature.
Alright, so we've set the altimeter 3007. Let's go ahead and set up our flight plan now. Accept, and we're going to go to fuel. And we can get this from our flight plan. So we've got 7997 total fuel today. We don't need that anymore. Fuel on board is 7997, and let's get our zero fuel. Zero fuel is 55. Let's see here, 55441. That's the gross weight today of 63,436, and we're pretty much done here. So let's go to navigation. We're going to fly from Denver, which is Kilo Delta Echo November, and we're heading to Kilo Mike Sierra Papa. $589 nautical miles to our destination today. Let's go ahead and set up the flight plan now. We're going to be departing Denver. And let's go ahead and set our departure. We'll take a look at the flight plan right here. So we're going to do 16 right at the Yokes 5 departure. 16 right, number 4. Yokes 5 departure, which is 16. Runway 16 right. Flight plan. We'll delete the disco. Okay, and then we're going to go to there. Next waypoint is direct to hand. And then direct to Oscar November Lima. And then direct to Swan. And finally, our arrival into St. Paul's International, runway 35 through the Torgi 3 arrival. So that would be our arrival. Accept. And we're going to do arrive. We're going to do runway 35, which is number 8. Through the Torgi 3. That's number 10. Runway 35, which is number 11. And we're going to do an eyeless approach, so that's number 1. Do we have a transition? Let me check. Doesn't look like we have a transition there, so we'll just say flight plan. There's a disco here. We'll delete that. Something strange. Alright, let me delete this one here. And you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and delete that one as well. And that one. And now we should have a nice looking flight plan. Yep. Looks okay now. Leave this as it is, and everything else appears to be okay now. So let's go ahead and set our altitude. Altitude is 25,000 feet. Done. And we'll set our heading as well to runway heading. That's set as well. Heading, alt select, and now everything is ready for engine start. Alright, let's go ahead and exfil. Flight plan is being cross-filled now, and we'll also cross-fill the fuel. And now return. Alright, so I think we are now ready to call the pushback truck and begin the engine power up, pushback and start, if you will. So let me just make sure everything here is okay, and it looks like it is. Oh, we need the position light to go on. White anti-collision light. Everything else looks okay to me, so let's go ahead and call the you know what, let me turn this on so that we get rid of the fog here on the screen. There we go. Alright, let's go ahead and call the pushback truck and prepare for pushback and departure. We're gonna do American Airlines, and we're gonna push nose to the left. Do you need to start engines before pushback? No. Right, here we go. American Airlines, we're pushing back now. We need to turn off the bleeds for engine start. And anti-collision lights should go to red.
Hello, Captain. We are ready for pushback.
Oh, we need to set our speeds. Let me take a quick look here. Alright, so we've got 123.
Departure check completed. Live has been inserted. Release parking brakes.
Alright, let's release the parking brake.
Commencing push. All engines clear. Start that wheel.
We have 127. Alright, so all our speeds are now set. Now let's go ahead and start our engines. Engine number 2 should always be started first. Right, engine number 2 is now starting. By the way, this device here, the ELT, is a device used when the aircraft exceeds a certain G. It will assume that the aircraft has crashed and then will start transmitting a signal in order for the emergency teams to locate the aircraft. By the way, on the Dash 8, if you want to look at the door page, you need to move this to system, doors, and that's how you see the door page.
Set parking brakes.
So we'll go back to engine system. Switch this to nav. Yep, that looks good to me. Let's set the parking brake. All right, let's go ahead and start the engine number 1. All right, we are now looking pretty good. Let's go ahead and set the flaps to flaps 5 for departure. And thank you for one of my subscribers who told me that to push the condition levers together, you can right click and move them and they will move together. So thanks for that. That's very, very helpful. All right, so we're going to put this to max. Yaw damper is on. And we can now turn off the... Let me just wait a bit here. Okay. So generator can go off and we can turn off the APU now. Bleeds can go on, but you have to make sure this stays on minimum until after takeoff. So everything looks good here, and the pitos need to be turned on just right before takeoff, so we'll leave them. Quick note, we need to turn on the auxiliary fuel tanks and auto feather, and also the hydraulic control. We can test this here to make sure that everything is okay, which it is. Yep. Now, one thing to note, by default, the Dash 8 takes off with a derated takeoff. As you can see, we have a 90% NTOP. If you want the maximum, you can set this one here MTOP, and that gives you the maximum takeoff power of 100%. But for this flight today, we're not going to need that. We're going to just need the default NTOP settings of 90%. Right, so it looks like everything is okay, and we just need to switch nav source to FMS1. We'll do the same thing on the first officer side, and let's go ahead and turn on our TCAS. I'm not going to worry about the transponder code, so I'll leave it as it is, ID. And what we can do is we can set up the we'll turn on the weather system here. And we can place it on this side. Let me put this on flight plan. And let's see here. There we go. So it's going to do its test, and then we should have the weather. All right, so let's go ahead and head over to the runway, which I have absolutely no idea where it is. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to call GSX services again. And let's see here. We want 16 right. Runway 16 right. And I'm going to say request follow me. Okay, follow me vehicle is on its way, and we'll wait for the vehicle to arrive. In the meantime, we can turn on our taxi lights on. What else? Logo lights can go on as well. There's the truck. Bit of an impetuous driver there. Alright, let's go ahead here and release the parking brake. Woo! Okay, looks like the... Where is the... Oh, there he is. Okay. Alright, so we're ready to go. Let's go ahead and turn on the steering. Alright, and we're good to go now. I think we need the pilot side window heat here. As you can see, we have some fog forming here on the... There we go, it's going away now. Well guys, it was a very long taxi to runway 16 right. Denver International is a very large airport, So let's just make sure everything's okay here before departure. Flaps 5, the control lock is released. Parking brake is set. Alright, let's go ahead and turn on the pitos. And landing lights for departure. Taxi light is off. Everything else here looks good to me. Yep, all is good. Alright, let's go ahead and release the parking brake now and line up with the runway. Alright, runway 16 right. We're going to go ahead and turn off the steering now. And we're pretty much ready to go. Right, and rotate. And positive rate of climb. Gear is going up. And we can retract the flaps now. See what's wrong with this in a moment. And we're about 1,500 feet AGL. So we have to put this on 90 now. All's looking good at the moment. All right, and let's go ahead and engage the autopilot. Everything's looking good. I'm not sure what's wrong with the weather there. Let me see here. Strange. You know what? We'll just leave it there. Okay, so we are continuing our climb now to our speed. We need to watch our speed there. 10,000 feet, we can turn off our lights. There we go. Alright, so we continue our climb now to 25,000 feet. I need to watch our speed here, so let me reduce the speed. About 200 knots is fine. We can turn off auto feather now. We can turn off the auxiliary tanks, and everything else looks okay to me. We just passed our transition altitude, and hence we'll set the barrel reference to standard, and we'll do the same thing here to 90902. And we continue our climb, and as you can see now, the rudder definitely needs trimming. So I'm just going to wait until we are at the next waypoint, and once the aircraft is flying level, we'll go ahead and adjust the rudder trim. Alright, I think we need to... Let's take a look here. As you can see now, the rudder alignment isn't correct. And let's see here. Yes, so we need to adjust the rudder trim, and to do this, we'll come over here and make slight changes. What you want to do is you want this triangle here to be aligned with the one above. That's close enough. Yep. And by the way, we're going to probably need to do this more than once during the flight. So we're going to have to watch the rudder trim here throughout the flight. 20,000 feet, and we're climbing to 25,000. Everything appears to be okay. I'm surprised that we didn't get any icing conditions yet. It's a very cold day in Denver. So all is well at the moment. I'm going to let you guys enjoy the flight, and I will check back with you at 25,000 feet, which is our final cruising altitude for our flight today. We are now approaching our final cruising altitude of 25,000 feet today. So what we're going to do now is we're going to set the condition lever to 850, and we're going to let the speed accelerate to about 200 knots, and then we're going to ease off on the power to maintain 200 knots throughout the course of our flight. All looks good at the moment. No warning signs, no icing conditions. Everything looks perfectly okay. We need to put the bleeds on normal, and we should have done this immediately after takeoff, and we have to now apologize to the passengers for letting them suffer. But yeah, everything looks okay now. Really a beautiful aircraft, the Majestic Dash 8. It's a lot of joy to fly, and the more you learn about it, the more you appreciate what Majestic Software has really done with this aircraft. Alright, 201. Let me go ahead and pull back. Well, we are at 25,000 feet, 200 knots. Everything looks perfectly okay. So I'm going to let you guys enjoy the flight, and I will see you right before our top of descent. As you can see, the rudder trim is off again, as you can see here. So we need to adjust the rudder trim again. So we're going to go ahead and do that. And remember to make small corrections until the two triangles are aligned. I think that is good enough. One more. Yeah, that looks good now. And as you can see, the two triangles are aligned again. And we're probably going to need to do this one more time. I think it needs a little bit more. Yeah, there we go. I think that's good enough now. And we're going to continue to adjust the rudder trim as we go. I think it's getting the other direction now. Yeah, there we go. Okay, that looks good. And we're going to continue with the rudder trim as we progress through the flight. It's something you just have to do on the Dash 8. Welcome back, guys. We are still on our way to St. Paul's, and everything appears to be okay at the moment. Looks like the rudder trim is okay. There are a few things that we need from the approach plate in preparation for our approach, so I'm going to go ahead and grab those now. So this is our approach into runway 35 at St. Paul's International, and the first thing we need is we need the decision height, and the decision height for our approach is going to be 110. So we're going to go ahead and enter that here. All right. And the other thing we need is the ILS frequency, which is 110.95. So we're going to go ahead and enter that right here. 110.95, and we'll set it as the active frequency. We're going to also need the course, so what I'm going to do is, this is on nav 1, so let me grab the final approach course of 350 degrees, and we're going to set this here. Okay, that is also set now. And the last thing we need is the landing altitude, which is 842, and we're going to go ahead and set this over here. I think that's close enough. And everything else appears to be okay at the moment. So we are pretty much ready for our approach now, and the only thing we need to do is to descend at the top of descent point. Welcome back, guys. We are now approaching our top of descent point, so let's go ahead and reset the altitude to 13,000 feet, which is our first restriction. 13,000, and I think we can begin our descent now. Vertical speed, and we're going to descend at about 1,200 feet per minute. Of course, we need to watch our speed now, so we're going to reduce power. We are now approaching our transition altitude, which is 18,000 feet in the United States. So let's go ahead and listen to the ATIS real quick.
Kilo, Tango, Kilo, Charlie, airport information, Papa 0643, Zulu, weather, wind 108 at 4, visibility 10, sky condition, few clouds at 12,700, temperature -1, dew point -16, altimeter 3053, advise on initial contact, you have information, Papa Kilo, Tango, Kilo, Charlie, airport information, Papa 0643, Zulu, weather, wind 108 at 4, visibility 10, sky condition, few clouds at 12,700, temperature -1, dew point -16, altimeter 3053, advise on initial contact, you have information, Papa Kilo, Tango.
Information Papa, and the altimeter is 3053, and we are now descending to 13,000 feet, and all looks pretty good at the moment. 1,000 to go, and it looks like we've got some ice detected here, so we're going to need to turn on the ice protection. Props on, engine intakes on. And we're going to put this on fast here. Yeah, the temperature, I expected some icing condition as we departed Denver, but it looks like things are a bit cooler here as we reach St. Paul. Right, so we're reaching our first restriction now of 13,000 feet, and I'm going to go ahead and slow down the aircraft to about 180 knots now in preparation for our approach. We're not too far from our destination now. Just make sure everything is okay here. Yeah, oh, by the way, this guy needed to be off. The main bus die, after engine start, it needs to go into the off position. And that is my bad. Alright, we're going to go ahead now and begin the descent to our second restriction, which is 10,000 feet, vertical speed. And we're going to descend at about 800 feet per minute. There we go. And again, we need to watch our speed now. And it looks like we still have some icing condition. Let's take a look here. Everything appears to be working okay. Yeah, so all is good. Yeah, so the warning has gone now. It looks like we've melted the ice on the aircraft fuselage props or whatever. By the way, Just so that you get the correct field of view, or get it as close as possible to the real aircraft, you see this dot here in this black circle. Make sure it completely covers this white circle here. So if we go here a little more, there we go. So this is pretty much what you should get in terms of the field of view, or this is the most accurate field of view based on a recommendation from a real Dash 8 pilot. Okay, so we do have a restriction, I believe. Yeah, so we're fine. We're going to go to 10,000. That's our next restriction. And I believe we have some other restrictions, as you can see here, at 9,000 and 8,000 as well. And we need to reduce our speed. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to start reducing our speed to about 160 knots. We will maintain 160 knots until our final approach. The platform altitude today is 3,000 feet. Let's go ahead now and reset the altitude to 9,000 feet, which is our next restriction. And we're going to go ahead and hit Alt Select, vertical speed, and let's descend at about 800 feet per minute. And the next restriction is we need to be at exactly 8,000 right at this waypoint here. Always remember, when you set the altitude, when you change the altitude, you begin a descent or a climb to hit Alt Select. Otherwise, the aircraft will not stop at the selected altitude. Very, very important. I always forget it. I have a tendency to forget hitting Alt Select, only to watch the aircraft go below or above the intended altitude. Alright, 9,000, and this is the altitude. This is our restriction here. Let's take a look, right? And then at the next waypoint, we need to be at 8,000 exactly. So we're going to begin the descent shortly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and reset this now to 8,000. Just going to wait for this to stabilize. Okay, altitude. And now we can set this to 8,000. That's the airport, by the way. And we're just going to go all the way, as you can see here. We're going to make a right turn, all the way. Let's take a look here. We're going to make a right turn, come over here, make a left turn, then make another left turn, and then head back to the airport and land. Alright, so at this point now we can reduce the altitude again to 4,000 feet, because we do have another restriction ahead of us. So 4,000 feet, Alt Select, and vertical speed, and let's descend at about 800 feet per minute. Alright, folks, we have now begun. We are now close to our final approach, and we need to be at 3,000 here in preparation for our approach and landing into St. Paul. And as we make the turn here, we're going to descend now to 3,000. What I'm going to do at this point is we're going to turn on our tanks. Auto feather is on, and condition levers on max. And we're going to begin reducing our speed. Flaps 15 today for our arrival. Let's set our heading to the runway heading. We need to watch our speed. Okay, and at this point we're gonna switch nav source to nav 1, and the approach button is now engaged. We're a bit too high. Right, and we're going to go ahead and extend flaps now. Alright, and landing gear is going down. Need to maintain our speed. About 125 knots. Should be fine for our approach today. Everything looks good at the moment.
1,000.
We need to put this back on minimum for landing. Alright, we're looking good now. Autopilot disengaged. Definitely strong winds here as we come into land.
Plus 100.
Minimums, 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 minimums. 50, 30, 10.
And touchdown. Wasn't a very good landing. And we'll take a look at the landing momentarily. And flaps can go all the way up. Alright, let's go ahead and bring the aircraft to a complete stop here. Set the parking brake. And let us take a look at our landing. Bit of a hard landing. Well, our landing was a pretty hard landing, I must say. But nevertheless, we've made it safely here to St. Paul International Airport in Minneapolis. I hope that this was a useful video, folks. And I hope I was able to cover the things I did not cover in the previous video. If you have any questions, please do post them in the comments section below. Until next time, please take care of yourselves and each other, and I will see you all very soon. Thanks for watching, and bye-bye for now.